Yeah, I'm Svitlana Romanko, and I am Managing Director for 350 in a region of Eastern Europe, Caucasus, and Central Asia. So we basically include 12 countries, but mainly active in the 5. Thank you.
Excellent. And over to you, Julia.
I'm Julia Pashkovska. I'm regional campaigner in ACCA region at 350.org.
Excellent, excellent. So you can just whoever want to begin to the question, you just answer. So whoever see perfect. So can you just explain a little bit to me about the climate movement in Ukraine? Because I'm particularly into that because we hear a lot about the climate movement in the US and Western Europe and stuff like that, and you don't really hear much about what's happening in Eastern Europe, Ukraine. So if you could just talk a little bit about that, that would be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can start and say a few words about the climate movement in Ukraine, how we see it and how we build it, because we are kind of organizations that actually builds climate movement. And what I can definitely say is that we were succeeding in building climate movement over last, I would say, for 3 years, because what we also see connections in the social polling, therefore, which proves that in the last 2 years, the number of respondents and participants of the climate movement has grown up to actually 50%, and almost 80% of Ukrainians in particular understand what climate change is and are willing, some of them, 60% I believe or so, are willing to take action some action against the climate change. But actually, I would like also mention that climate movement is mostly represented by the local non-profits, which we, maybe Yulia will tell more about, Energy Transition Coalition, which we basically co-created in Ukraine a few years ago, and now it has more, for now it has 7 members, member-in organizations, but it will definitely have more and more growing and responding to the urgent needs of not only climate movement, but also a nucleus of what climate neutrality or energy transition is, renewable energy sources as well, and climate neutral green economy. So basically, and also we have local groups which we educated over the past years with our climate leadership program, because climate leadership program was 2 years long, successful project of 350 in Ukraine mostly. It was because it was testing probation period in Ukraine, and it proved well. It paid off because we educated over 20 local NGOs and small initiatives, small grassroots, which started their own independent campaigns, which we are particularly proud of. Yes.
So maybe Julia, you'll talk a little bit about that. What kind of campaigns have you been running in Ukraine?
Our main campaign during last 2 years was 100% renewable campaign. We worked with the mayors of local cities in Ukraine, and actually not only in Ukraine. We have 1 city in Georgia, and now 7 in Ukraine, which committed about 100% renewable transition till 2050. So we worked with mayors, we worked with local groups, we communicate with them why this energy goal is so important. Actually, this is main climate goal because, as we know, coal, gas, oil, electricity, main polluter and main CO2 emission polluter. So renewable energy, like main solution. And we also, I think, just successful that we worked with local networks. Yes, as Svitlana mentioned already, actually we are co-creators of this network. It is Energy Coalition. Now we have in plans to also to get the members, cities as the members of this coalition, and also prosumers and businesses. So like to connect different stakeholders in one place to campaign for energy transition for our green goals. because this pandemic crisis showed us that we should cooperate much more, much more. Also, we have good cooperation with the local, one of the, I think, oldest climate network. This is Ukrainian Climate Network, where 33 organization members. We also campaign with them about more ambitious NDC in Ukraine and more ambitious energy goals for Ukraine. So for Ukraine, cooperation is very good, and we try to support local organizations because it is much more fruitful.
I can help Julia. Yeah, I can help Julia a bit because I cannot not to mention our last month's campaign about the just recovery and 5 principles on a just recovery of the economics after the crisis, and which we co-created like a really global campaign, and we spread the word in all our region, and we have sent 12 letters demanding of just recovery from crisis, but not only from pandemic crisis, but also from climate crisis, because these two things are quite interconnected and they are mutually like damaging and both depending on each other. So we would like to see how this process will be built in the nearest future. And we even got a few responses from the government of Russia and from government of Ukraine and from government of Azerbaijan, and it was also Kyrgyzstan, and we are still waiting for the next one. And also we've just about to start over Ukrainian Green Deal powerful campaign, which hopefully will unite the climate movement in Ukraine and beyond. That's our big expectation. And yes, also Julia may tell about this, because it's in a process and some parts are not under the public attention, but they will soon.
So I think that the issue of economies is a really interesting one, and obviously understanding, because we know from public media that since the civil war in Ukraine and since the annexation of Crimea, that the economy is really taking hard on the economy. The economy is really struggled, and even basic infrastructure projects is hard to get funding for. So how much money in the economy do you think there will be available for renewable investment, and also what kind of energy mix are we looking at the moment? How much renewable capacity is at the moment? How much is there still to go, if that makes sense?
Okay, yes. The problem is now that the crisis reduced, of course, amount of investments in Ukraine in general, and especially in renewable sector, in renewable energy sector. But it was not only because of pandemic, but also because of political crisis, actually. And we see the situation now is not so well. So we need stabilization now, and we need to show that Ukraine will take a green way. That we want to start this campaign about European Green Deal, because Europe already committed, European Union committed that they will rebuild their economy on a green way, on the basis of Green Deal. So Ukraine is one of the biggest, actually one of the biggest neighbors, should do the same if we want to cooperate in economical and political way in the next 10, 20, 30 years. We have this goal now, and the situation with renewables now hard. Just today was press conference of Ukrainian and European investors in renewable sector, and they told that they doesn't have payments for last 3-4 months. Yes, and So like our government changed their mind from one way to completely another direction, to the coal, to I don't know, brown economy. Yes, and yeah, we're trying to work with this now. So in the past it was really very good field to campaign. Now like this field was changed, even not completely but strongly.
And I would like to add just only a few facts that renewable energy share for now is not that huge in the overall Ukraine energy supply. It's about 5% of renewable energy, and I can imagine actually, but maybe actually we cannot imagine what catastrophe this would create for the investors, which renewable energy share would be even bigger than this, because this is a huge conflict which we are trying to solve, as Julia mentioned, and about the investments and legal agreements which has already been made with renewable energy investors when they came and invested into the ground, but also it also deals with overall trust to Ukraine as a European country.
Right. Yeah. I think. Yeah. If it's going quick as like so it's the issue also that kind of Ukraine is torn between two directions, right? If you were like, obviously, we saw the crisis to unfold because some people in Ukraine want closer ties to the EU, and other part want closer ties to Russia, and obviously, depending on the Russian gas infrastructure, and you have pipelines have to go to Ukraine to deliver gas to other countries. So there's huge geopolitical issues there, isn't there?
Yes, and just saying more about Russia and the coal, that definitely the main message, overall message should be, and the climate movement message should be, we should stop funding coal, any kind of coal, because even or in Russia and Ukraine almost for last 4 years, we still have imported coal, a huge energy supply of coal. I guess it's about 60% of overall coal use in Ukraine, simply because Ukraine does not produce the very specific sort of coal which is needed for coal power plants. And we need to stop funding coal anyway and investing and subsidizing it in any ways, but not switching policies from renewable energy and green economy, which will be hopefully well funded by European Union, because they are institutionally found a big budget and created a long strategy till 2027. And those countries which are in European neighborhood also, and Eastern Partnership will also get some chances to improve their policies and maybe to make a bit easier their pathway to green economy. But unfortunately, yes, for now, coal still takes a big part, and independence from Russia. But saying that, I also would like to mention here, it's that Ukraine tries to take some measures to stop coal from Russia, but not for a good goal, just to stop any coal, but just to let national coal to be presented on the market, and national oligarchs who own all of this. In May this year, 31 rate for all Russian coal is effective actually for any coal trying to be imported to Ukraine. So it decreased a lot. It's absolutely decreased. But coal is still in this country, and we need to fight strongly against.
So, so what kind of help, from your point of view, would Ukraine like from international partners? So, in terms of actually, there's been a lot of talk about the World Bank should not fund coal projects abroad, and well, they have not done so is a little bit more murky. But clearly, if big international development institutions will stop funding coal projects abroad, that'll surely help, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. That's what we are trying to do on international level. And there are some successes, but still China coal and still Japanese banks and still the US powerful banks are funding coal significantly, including some Central European bank institutions. So definitely we need to stop funding everywhere, not only in Ukraine.
Can I add just one thing? And also we need very much investments. Actually, this is the main reason the political and energy crisis now, that we need investments in balancing power, so in balancing technologies to energy sector. Because if renewable energy is increasing, yes, producing of renewable energy is increasing, so we should balance somehow this situation. So we need batteries, we need technologies, we need biomass power plants. So we need investments in this sector first of all, if you don't want to balance by coal.
Interesting. So coming to the point of the public, and obviously your members and you're building a movement in Ukraine. So what kind of people and what kind of demographics do you feel who feel really get this urgent issue, and what other people are pushing back a little bit more?
I will start, and Julia, please also add your thoughts on that. Mainly, all our supporters are so-called middle class, though in Ukraine we don't have such well-defined and well-fed, actually, middle class, but are about of those who are in the age of, let's say, 30 till 50, and who has some profits to invest into renewable energy projects. And actually, it's official data that almost 62% of Ukrainians responded that they are capable to pay more for renewable energy, for a green energy. Yeah, and also our audience is young audience, young people, students, Fridays for Future as a partners we have in Ukraine and in Russia, in region, because they are quite progressive young people. And Yulia, can you name more?
Yes, actually, I just thought that also people with low income, which are like most people in Ukraine, I think, still with low income for Europe, if we will speak for Europe, yes. So a lot of young people, a lot of people probably who travel, who see, these green changes around the world. So different type of people, some also open-minded politicians, especially on the local level, and the prosumers. Yes, a lot. I think most of all prosumers of renewable energy, they are our supporters, and this crisis show it very clearly. Yes.
And how do people find you? Is it through social media, the internet, and is that how people get informed about what's going on?
Mostly it is by social media. We have pages in Facebook where people follow us. We have page in Instagram. This is actually our main pages. For example, today we will have like small talk show in Facebook and in Instagram about renewable energy myths, about climate myths, and we will speak with Fridays for Future about it. So mostly like in this way, but also sometimes they connect with us via our website. There is form where people can connect with us to write us letter. Also during different, actions, strikes, also people get know our organization and they try to connect you, but usually it is by social media. Yes.
And obviously, I understand that during this COVID-19 pandemic, things are a bit more difficult. What kind of stuff have you planned in for the rest of the year, or even for the next few months? Do you have anything interesting coming up and planned?
Yes, we do, and actually we are quite optimistic about being active even when pandemic is around. So our plans are, and please join us. Let's let's keep in touch, and we gladly will invite you on our upcoming events. So what we plan? We plan, as I've mentioned, start of our new campaign on Ukrainian Green Deal and hopefully regional Green Deal. I mean, European Green Deal true for some countries of the region, because we are now in regional discussions of how to plan and implement it better to make enough pressure on those who makes a decision on the political level, on the expert level, on any other levels, financial level as well, economy level. So, and we plan 12 webinars, which Julia is still producing ideas for about the Green New Deal, to engage a very wide audience of people, to educate them, to give them chances to speak, and for us to harvest the thoughts and attitudes and suggestions how we better can be can enhance our joint goals as a climate movement. And one of our thoughts is about China investments in the coal plants in the region, because what we found, these are 3 direct investments of immense amount of money. Bank of China and Dongfang enterprises from China. It's overall Bank of China, always. And we have some in Russia, and we have in Ukraine on the eastern part, and we have in Georgia. So, but we are now just only testing the grounds and trying to make more research about that. And of course, just recovery, because just recovery is not a thing that you can end when even pandemic ends itself. It's a thing which quite changed our vision of the world and our approach of acting with this world. But yeah, hopefully it didn't affect the movement. And for now, we cannot see it affected movement much, even except of not being able for us to hold and conduct direct actions, as this action was in Kiev, for example. Then you had this, where we had this 14,000 of
Yeah.
such.
So if you could just remind everyone, what did you do in Kiev, and what was the message?
Julia, it was the action that you are.
You mean
are the,
in Kiev? You mean climate strike 2019?
Oh. No, it was our petition delivery to the Minister of Environment.
Yes, from Al Jazeera. Yes, I understand. Yes, actually, this is our petition of Energy Coalition, which was made by Energy Coalition, and we took around, we got around 14,000 signatures about this petition. So actually, for Ukraine, it is like big result. Yes, because some of people, they even doesn't have social media. And we delivered this signature, all of them, like all this pack of papers with signatures of people, to Deputy Minister of Energy and Environment, and the Minister actually also joined this event, and it was presentation of Ukraine Green Deal, concept of Ukraine Green Deal. But this concept is not very ambitious, and we try to also to tell this to minister, like put higher ambitions. We need 100% renewable. People sign this petition. They need it. They asked about it. But then this minister was changed. And actually, I just wanted to add that for us now, you know, like there are different movements in Ukraine: human rights, animal rights movements, and the Green Deal as a concept to connect different people, different movements around one idea of transformation of the country.
Interesting. And in terms of actually what you guys are doing on your campaigns on the Green New Deal and anything else, how much is that being reported? Like how well are the the newspapers and the TV stations in Ukraine reporting on messages? And also, do you have any influential kind of people who share your message, like celebrities and influencers or anything like that?
Yes, I would say for climate impacts, it's been quite well supported and published in media. And about the renewables, yeah, it was. We've got really huge media coverage, and a lot of influencers joined us and has promoted the joint message of 100% renewable transition till 2050. But it was not like just a media message and narrative, but like a framework for a better future and one piece in the mosaic of a green economy at that time, and political narrative even saying that. And as for now, we can see that the idea and the media coverage of renewable energy is being quite deprioritized, and sometimes we think that it has been made intentionally because those oligarchs who own the coal industry and what's the preferences be taken from renewable energy and state support, including financial, and given to the monopoly of coal and gas and sometimes oil in a less way. So they definitely put some hands into decreasing the media coverage. But yeah, it's at the same, like, it's still a very hot topic, and we also are trying to feed the media field as much as we can with really well argued information and well proved, even so in numbers, in other arguments, why we cannot exist like a coal-based and energy third place energy using country. So that's absolutely cannot be continuing anymore. So yeah, and maybe you will add also if you
Yes,
think.
I just wanted to add that we was hosting a big online event on Earth Day this April, and previous Minister of Healthcare joined us. She is very popular person in Ukraine, like very. She is not minister now, but a lot of people support her thoughts, support her point of view, and she spoke about green way of life, about green healthcare, and so it is nice to have such supporters in Ukraine. Of course, it helps to spread our ideas widely. Yeah.
This has been a really interesting conversation. Before we finish, do you have anything else you want to add? Do you think we haven't talked about yet?
I just want to encourage everyone who is not in climate movement anymore to step in and to make some efforts to influence on a climate crisis prevention, but because we are in it, we are in the epicenter, and after pandemic ends, it will end someday in the future, and we will directly jump into climate crisis. So please join climate movement and be active in it, because you are defending your future, exactly. not only some invisible future of future kids, which you may or may not have actually, but you are defining your future and well-being and a lot of generations before, after. Thanks.
And the green way of life, green economy, green energy, it is not a choice. It is just only one solution to have a future in this huge climate crisis now. Yes. So we need to support this idea.